Hi guys, Miss Marley here. Today we're looking at exercise 5E from your essential textbook. Now we're going to determine rules for graphs, and it's the same as what we've done in the past. Here we have a question that tells us the rule for the function of the graph is of the form y equals a e to the power of x plus b. We want to find the values of a and b. Now we do have 2 points, and that's all we need. We have 2 variables. Remember, e is not a variable, and we want to find what those a and b are. Let's put that into perspective. We have when x is 0, y is 6. So let's substitute that in as 6 equals a e to the power of 0 plus b. The next thing we have is when x is 3, y is 22. So again, let's substitute that in. 22 equals a e to the power of 3 plus b. We now have 2 equations. Usually when we get to this point, when we have 2 equations, we can use elimination to solve. So let's do the same thing here. We end up, if we subtract those, we end up with 16 equals a e to the power of 3 minus e to the power of 0. E to the power of 0 is 1. So 16 equals a e to the power of 3 minus 1. Let's solve for a. That means a equals 16 divided by e to the power of 3 minus 1. B is 6 minus a. So that follows that it is 6 minus 16 over e to the 3 minus 1. We get, by getting a common denominator for 6 and negative 16 over e to the 3 minus 1, we get 6e to the 3 minus 22 over e to the power of 3 minus 1. We can now enter that into the equation. Remember, the form is y equals a e to the power of x plus b. So that means y equals 16 over e to the 3 minus 1 e to the x plus 6e to the 3 minus 22 over e to the 3 minus 1. Now that looks really quite messy. So what you can do, you can approximate a bit. So we end up with 0.8383 e to the power of x plus 5.1617. Notice that I do not approximate during my calculations. This will mean that my final result is a little inaccurate. I always put it into y equals ae to the x plus b form first, using the fractions and the e value, and then I approximate at the very end. Let's have a look at this one here. Y equals a log e x plus b. What are the values of a and b? Well, we've got 2 points. When x is 5, y is 0. So that means 0 equals a log e, 5 plus b. E to the power of 0 equals 5 plus b. Remember that when I've got the log with a base, I can take that base out and put it to the power of whatever is on the other side of the equal sign. So therefore, 1 equals 5 plus b, and b equals negative 4. The next point is when x is 8, y is 1. Then I get 1 equals a log e, 8 plus b. Now remember that b is negative 4. So when I put 8 minus 4, I get 4. So 1 equals a log e, 4. I want to solve for a. So I'm going to take a out, and I'm going to divide 1 by log e to the 4. That gives me a on its own. So now I have b equals negative 4 and a equals 1 over log e to the e4. I can then just substitute them into the equation. Again, we put it into the form y equals 1 over log e4 log e x minus 4 first. I then can simplify, or I can then approximate this to y is approximately, notice the approximate sign after y, not equals. So y is approximately 0.1713 log e x minus 4. Let's have a look at one more. Here it says, given that y equals a e to the power of bt, and y equals 6 when t equals 1, and y equals 8 when t equals 2, find the values of b and a. So they're just giving us 2 points, but this time they're giving them in a little bit longer way. So when t is 1, y is 6. Let's use that information. 6 equals AE to the power of B. If t is 1, it means we don't have to write 1 in there. When t is 2, y is 8. So 8 equals AE to the power of 2B. Now, it's a little bit different here because we actually divide the equations. So 8 divided by 6 becomes 4 on 3. A divided by A, that cancels out. E to the power of 2B divided by e to the power of B means we say 2b minus b, which is just b. 4/3 equals e to the power of b. B equals log e 4/3. So we can say, let's substitute that in for b. 6 equals a e to the power of log e 4/3. Looks a little bit complex at that point. I've just substituted it in to the equation I obtained when t was 1 and y is 6. I then simplify further. I end up with 6 equals 4/3 a, because e log e, a equals 9 on 2. I then have what I need for the equation y equals 9 over 2 e to the power of log e 4/3 t. Again, we can approximate. Notice that approximate sign there. I leave 9 on 2 as it is. 9 on 2 e to the power of 0.288 t. And that's it. Let's do that on CAS now. So what we do, we go to our menu, we go to the main. In main, I'm going to go to that button where I can enter two equations and solve simultaneously, because that's really all we're doing. I enter in 6 equals a e to the power of b, so I've substituted in y is 6 and t is 1, and 8 equals a e to the power of 2b, so when I substitute in y is 8 and t is 2. Make sure that you put the a comma b after that line there. That's telling the calculator that you want to solve for a and b. That's important. I then click exe and I get my answer. And that's the end of 5e.